Hi there, I'm Joshua Hanlon here at Brickworld Chicago 2018, and I am joined by a pair of talented builders to talk about their great collaborative layout here. So if you want to introduce yourselves, then we'll take a look at the build.
I'm Calvin Hartley. I'm from Grand Rapids, Michigan.
And I'm Jarren Harkema. I'm also from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Okay, so this layout had a couple things going for it. The first thing to note is all of the Lego Creator robots that are all around the display. So the main kind of inspiration for this was those robots. When they came out last year, we looked at each other and said, okay, we need a crap load of these. We need every single one we can get our hands on and make some sort of layout with it. In addition to that, we realized that we are traditionally Mindstorms builders. We work a lot with Mindstorms in the Technic system. We want to figure out a way to incorporate those into a layout. And we realized a really good way to do that would be to show the history of all of the Mindstorm systems. So that's kind of how this layout came to be. It was kind of a mix of those two ideas and combining them into one.
So we have the old robots buried and being excavated by these creator robots. They're several of the older Mindstorm systems, and the current Mindstorms robot, the EV3, is what's actually controlling the truck that all these robots have come in on.
I was just going to say, let's take a deeper dive, and you can kind of point out the different buried robots and maybe talk a little bit about the histories or work our way through those.
Okay, yeah, sure. So the first one would be our RCX over here, the yellow robot in the middle. That was released in the early 90s?
It was 98.
98, or late 90s. So that kind of launched the whole Mindstorms thing. There was a slightly lighter version of it called the Scout, and that's the blue bot over there. Had a few less motor ports and sensor ports, and you could do a little bit lighter programming on it. In addition to that, at a similar time, they did a collaboration with Star Wars and had their droid developer kits, which is the R2-D2 droid in the background there. 2006, they introduced the NXT brick, which is the one in the corner, and that really exploded. That got really big. That was actually my first kit. Was the Mindstorms NXT. And then, we got to modern day. A few years ago, they released the EV3, and that's what we used in the truck. So, yeah.
So one fun part here is we have a trash heap of junk that they're throwing out. There's a lot of jokes there of things that people in the Mindstorms community really don't use much. So it was a lot of fun to put that together.
It looks like, what is some of the stuff in there? Like a remote and maybe like a broken unit?
Yeah, so a really common issue with the NXT is that the screen would go bad and quit working. It is fixable, but it's some really small soldering to do, so it's a pretty common issue to find. There's a lot of sound sensors in there. Nobody really uses the sound sensors for much, so we just have an obscene amount there. Some of the old cords that have broken. The remote is for the RCX. I've never really seen people use it. The backing for regular AA batteries, a lot of people use the rechargeable batteries. And in addition to that, the NXT rechargeable batteries, after a lot of use, will get bloated and not really work anymore. So we have some of those in there as well.
Okay. God, yeah, I like all the forgotten parts of the Mindstorm stuff there.
So then the other, just kind of the more of like the environment and the atmosphere of it. This display originally started out on all flat base plates, and we realized we wanted to get a lot more depth to it. So we raised about half of the base plates up by about six bricks, and actually buried all of the robots into the ground further. And we kind of came up with some sort of little background story of the actual layout. Is this some sort of space layout? Is it like a lunar layout? We have all of these trans neon green parts, and they really pop under that black light. If something gives us a little bit of extra. And all of our other little LED details to try to bring a little bit more life to it and make it a little more interesting to look at.
Yeah. And then if we want to talk a little bit more about the truck here as well in the center.
Yeah, so the truck was a lot of fun to build. You can see it has 8 wheels, and every wheel is actually driven and has full suspension.
Wow.
And these holders for the robots lift up and down to set the robots on the ground. So the truck does drive because they're all driven. It is kind of slow, but we're talking about maybe doing another revision to improve on that.
Yeah, and talk about the collaboration process between you two as you worked on this and planned it. Obviously, I think you're both in the same city, is that right? So it's kind of easy geographically to get together and figure out what you're going to do?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we hang out at his house most of the time, and we're working on one of the projects down in his basement. Usually we'll each work on some different task, whether it's one of the particular modules or one person was working on the truck while someone else was working on the landscape. And we try to bounce ideas off of each other. What works, what doesn't work. Does this look good? Does this not look good? And sometimes you just need a break from what you're doing. You've hit a brick wall, you get that builder's block, and you switch roles. And it's, the layout, the landscaping and the truck are very two distinct, different build styles. So being able to switch between those two and get some different input on them, it's very nice to work together like that.
Yeah, it's great to be able to have a second opinion to look at, and there's a lot of strengths that we don't share. We have different strengths and different ways of thinking, so it's great to be able to work with each other and say, look, I'm stuck. How do you think we can solve this, and have that really, really strong teamwork and doing a build like this.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think the whole collaboration turned out great, and I love seeing what happens when builders can work together like this. So thanks so much for bringing it to the show.
Thank you very
Absolutely.
much.
Thank you.